I have good news, and I have good news. Bernie Sanders didn't just win the Nevada caucus. He absolutely dominated the caucus. So the way that Nevada works is a little bit weird, to say the least. I actually haven't seen any reporting on just the popular vote. Now, my hunch is if we had the results on just the popular vote, Bernie would be up by double digits comfortably. He might even be up by like 20 points. Polls leading into today had him up by about 20 points. And like I've been telling you guys from day one, we have to overwin in order to just win. And that appears like it's exactly what happened today. The victory was so overwhelming, so crushing, so undeniable that it didn't matter how many coin flips or, card tricks went in favor of Buttigieg or Klobuchar or Warren. Bernie won by such a wide margin that it was undeniable and unriggable. So this is absolutely wonderful. Now I have one fact for you that I'm going to save until the end, which is just going to blow your mind. I'll hang on to that. I'll just keep that in my back pocket. But as I'm talking to you guys right now, Fox News is reporting that Bernie has over 50% of the county delegates. Now, again, caucuses are weird. The way it works in Nevada is a little different than how it worked in Iowa. Iowa, we actually got the popular vote result too, which is how we knew Bernie had a 6,000 vote lead in the first alignment. Again, this is different. We don't have the popular vote numbers, at least not yet. I don't know if they're going to release them. I don't know if we can infer them based on data that's not officially released. But I don't know it if we have it. But what I do know is they're saying over 50% of the county delegates. The closest one to him is Biden at 17%. Meaning if those results roughly hold, Biden might be the only other person that's viable over that 15% threshold in Nevada, which is stunning. Now, I don't know if that's going to hold. I think that as the results roll in, you might see one or two of the other candidates barely get above that 15% threshold. But I do know that that's a stunning lead for Bernie. Let's say worst case scenario, and I don't know what percentage it's at, 8% or so, with him having over 50% of the delegates so far. Worst case scenario, what? He ends up dropping all the way to 40% of the county delegates, which is still a crushing victory. So it appears like what we've been saying all along, the dynamic that has to happen in order for Bernie to win, it happened. He won by such a large margin that it was effectively unriggable. Now, I don't know, they're not, the results are coming in a hell of a lot slower than they did the last time around, and, there's questions about quality control, just like with the Iowa caucus, so I would be willing to bet that giant gap that we have slowly narrows over time, but I do not know. It's not, every network has already called it. My favorite was Fox News because they were like, here's my impression of Fox News. Okay, we're getting some results in, and it's over, Bernie won. I'm not kidding. When they had 4% of the results, they already called it. They were like, it appears like he has such a gigantic lead and it's so insurmountable that nobody can come back. We're officially calling it for Bernie Sanders. MSNBC, I'm not kidding, hung on over an hour longer before they made the call. And it's funny, I don't know who's making the editorial decisions over at MSNBC, but I will tell you that as a general rule, usually when one network calls it, it's within 10 minutes that the other networks call it. It's almost like they were holding out and just hoping that something would change. But, it didn't, and Bernie Sanders is the winner. I just got low battery, so maybe this video might be a little quicker than I originally intended. But okay, so let me give you some numbers. Then again, I promised you I have an amazing fact that'll blow your mind for the end here. But look at the breakdown when it comes to demographics, okay? Bernie won white people. 28% for Bernie, 19% for Buttigieg, 14% for Klobuchar, 14% for Warren, 13% for Biden. Among non-white people, Bernie, 44% Biden, 21%. Steyer, 11%. Warren, 8%. Buttigieg, 7%. Collapsed among people of color, as predicted. The other thing that a lot of other people, their minds are blown by it, but it really shouldn't be, is Bernie won not just among self-described lefties. He actually crushed among people who self-describe as moderate and conservative. Now you're like, wait, hold on, that makes no sense. But it does make sense, because I've told you guys 1,000 times, labels mean nothing. They mean different things to different people. People don't know the nuance and the details and what the definitions are and what entails with each label. And so there are a lot of people who are Latino, a lot of people who are African American, a lot of people who are white who say, hey, I'm conservative or I'm moderate, and then they go, oh, who are you voting for? Bernie Sanders. So the reality is they just hear this guy talking about common sense solutions that'll help them and their families and help, fix the system, and they go, that makes sense. I like that guy. I trust that guy. So, the whole thing about ideology, the way it breaks down, it's not, at face value, it doesn't make sense because people don't know much about labels. So basically, Bernie won with every single demographic group. I'm not kidding. He won with every single demographic group. And the predictions from Iowa and New Hampshire came true. Namely, those were his weaker states this time around because they're very, very white states. And so we said, well, guess what's going to happen when we start hitting states where there's a lot more people of color? He's just going to grow the margin more and more. And then I wanted to give you guys, let's see if I could find it. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. There was an amazing poll. Oh, I found it. An amazing poll on age breakdown. So over 45 years old, voters over 45 years old, Biden and Bernie tied at 20%. This is old people. Bernie's supposed to do terrible among older people. Tied at 20%, Bernie is. Buttigieg 16, Klobuchar 15, Warren 13, Steyer 11. Voters 45 years old and under. Bernie 60%, Buttigieg 13%, Warren 11%, Biden 5%, Klobuchar 3%. Guys, he routed them. He dominated them. He eviscerated them. This wasn't just a victory. This was a crushing victory. This was like a Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan type victory. This is like a oh my God moment here. But now here's the thing, guys. There's no longer a race going on. There's no longer a race going on. The race is over. Now, the only race that's happening is Bernie versus that 50% threshold. That's it. That's it. So the question is, will Bernie Sanders have a plurality of the votes or a majority of the votes? Now, if he gets a majority, that's it. They can't even steal it from him on the second ballot. It's over. Bernie Sanders is our nominee. No questions asked. If he gets a plurality but not a majority, then they're going to try to steal it from him at the convention, and that's when you and I will have to go there and march in the streets, and there will have to be a million angry Bernie supporters there demanding that the will of the voters is upheld. But as of right now, guys, I'm declaring it now. There is no longer a race for who will get the most votes. Bernie will have more votes than everybody else in this race. It's over. It's just a matter of will he get a plurality or will he get a majority? Now, I'm still going to tell you guys, act like we're 10 points down because I want to get a majority because I don't even want to give them the option of stealing it from us. I don't want to even give them the flickering thought that maybe they could try it. No, can't have it, can't have it. So I told you at the beginning, I have one poll that's going to absolutely blow your mind that is going to put a smile on your face. Okay, ready for this? For the first time in history, a Democrat or Republican has won the popular vote in all three early states: Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada. You know what that means? Donald Trump didn't win those three states. Donald Trump lost Iowa, I believe. Yes, Cruz won Iowa. He lost Iowa. Trump didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. Nobody did it. Bernie Sanders is the first candidate in the history of the country to win the popular vote in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, respectively. Now you might be thinking, well, really? Nobody ever did that? Nobody ever did that. And the reason is those states are very different. Ideologically, demographically, they're just totally different. So you usually have different preferences among them. Not this time. There's one and there's only one. And his name is Bernard Sanders. So the race is Bernie against that 50% threshold, and now we got to get him over that threshold. So, listen, you guys got to do it. Make calls, text, knock on doors, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Just get the word out there as much as possible. Keep acting like we're 10 points down. Because I'll tell you what, if we just win a plurality, they will try to steal it from us. So we have to win a majority. And what happened today got us closer to a majority, but we ain't there yet, and it ain't over till it's over. Run through the tape. But you can take the night to celebrate because today's a good day. He won in crushing fashion.